If you didn't see my top 5 films of 2016, then make sure to click here. But in this video, considering I didn't play a lot of games this year because life and busy schedules and all that jazz, I have a few games that I do want to make special mention to. So while you compile your list in the comments below, here are my top 5 games of 2016. Look, say what you want, but I thought Watch Dogs was a good game with a lot of potential. Watch Dogs 2 reached much of that potential, but still leaves enough curiosities to make me want to enter the hacking world for a third time. Watch Dogs 2 strips away the rather shallow and soulless aesthetic of the first game and aims for energy, vibrancy, and personality. Marcus and the team at DedSec feel much more alive and passionate about their motivations, and it makes for a very inviting experience. Tonally, the sequel rejects gritty realism in favour of making hacking much more refined and complex in a very enjoyable way. It doesn't feel like a tool this time, but rather it feels essential. And the fact that every objective can be completed purely through hacking and never engaging enemies by using your RC and drone adds a very unique and puzzle-esque approach to the gameplay variety. Only when I got lazy or slightly curious did I decide to use combat, which feels morally out of place when you consider Marcus's character and the narrative philosophy that the game is going for. Watch Dogs 2 is a step up, but it's still quite rough around the edges. But the small details in the world, the socio-political satire, and the simplistic but more integrated hacking makes for a fun time. I didn't actually play Doom until Christmas because I was in this cynical boat off, it's just playing on nostalgia, so why should I care? But Jesus, was this one of the most surprising and exciting pure first-person shooters I've played in some time. It's just simple, clean, fast combat that's thrilling and supremely well paced. But even with that simplification, there's still a level of tactical awareness required. Certain guns play in a specific way, and each enemy reacts differently to it, so knowing when it's the right time to use the right weapon makes the intensifying challenge more rewarding and stops you getting too comfortable with a specific weapon. There's also great design choices, such as the chainsaw being used diligently to replenish all your ammo, or using the BFG as a quick means to reducing the overwhelming abundance of enemies attacking you. Let's also not forget the story, which is surprisingly quite intriguing. For once I actually read every data log I could find. Doom knows what it is without being pretentious and smug about it. Okay, maybe a little bit smug and pretentious, but it has a hell of a lot of personality and attitude, from the guns to the environments to even the enemies who I began to feel sorry for as I obliterated them. There is so much care and passion put into this. That said, the soundtrack is generic and overrated. I don't get why people love it so much. Next one. To put it plainly, this is the best of these indie, exploration, narrative-driven experiences akin to Gone Home because it works on a very personal and intimate level. Being a walking simulator and having a very unique aesthetic plays thematically into the very rich and mature narrative it's trying to tell, about a man seeking refuge from the crippling relationship he has with his ill wife. Yes, it doesn't give you the answers to a mystery that builds gradually more ominous and dramatic as it progresses, but that's the beauty of its realistic and humanized execution. I cared about the characters, and there is such a vividness so soft and subtly conveyed that I want to go back again in the summer to experience that bubble of innocence and tranquility that we all need to get away from the stresses of the daily grind. It also has one of the most emotional and provocative moments in a video game this year for me. Just saying. I still wonder if I like this more than Dark Souls 1, and I'm actually verging on yes. If this truly is the end, it's a fitting conclusion, and instead of detailing the obvious brilliance of its inspired gameplay, here's what really got me. It's the emotion of combat. For the first time since my battle with Lord Gwyn in Dark Souls 1 have I ever felt so engrossed by a boss battle. Every battle here feels purposeful, whereas in other times, the original and second game had bosses that felt more obligatory than anything else. Every boss has a meaningful contribution to the experience, and some were especially poignant and profound. Then on top of that, the environments and the visual storytelling just reinforce my love and appreciation for the craft of video games. Every environment was intriguing and vivid, and all the small elegant details of the world just accentuate the clear passion and love by the developers. Dark Souls 3 is a life-affirming game for me that transcends emotional and intellectual levels of creativity. That's not just a technical and artistic achievement, it highlights the uniqueness of game design and the power of interactive experiences. And let's not forget it having one of the best soundtracks in anything ever, just saying. Right, so I pondered over this for several weeks. Why say Dark Souls 3 is transcendent and not give it my game of the year? Well, when I think of the game that captivated me and really pressed me on an emotional and intellectual level, like I mentioned with Dark Souls, I just love and hate everything about XCOM 2 even more. Difficulty is a wonderful way to keep you engaged in a game, but it shouldn't dictate your enjoyment. XCOM 2 is difficult for the same intellectual reasons as Dark Souls, but I felt more purpose and urgency in XCOM. I had to restart the game 3 times because I kept messing up, and it's a game that never stops to be relaxing, and that's weirdly a good thing. XCOM is relentless on a whole other level. In fact, I ended up on easy mode just so I could get through the game, and it still managed to kick my ass. Every action you make has consequences, and this is one of the few games where time is extremely precious and meaningful to the gameplay. A day can be the difference between life and death, and when you have to choose how to use those resources appropriately, it can completely influence the outcome of the game. It's incredibly engrossing, even if it's frustrating and overwhelming. But there is something so immensely satisfying about eliminating even the most basic of threat. It's vastly rewarding, and there was a constant urge for me to keep wanting to play and never accept defeat. XCOM brought me to the extremities of my emotions, and the unpredictability and vast array of things to do makes it a rich, thought-provoking, and consistently entertaining game that I have to say is the best game I played of 2016.